module 4 of the impactful communicator. In this one, we are going to talk about your voice, as in how do you sound impactful when you speak. Let's get right into it. In this video, we are going to be talking about all the different aspects of voice, and in the next video, we will look at how do you work on your own voice to make it sound impactful. So first, let's discuss voice and its various aspects. What do I mean by voice is the way you sound. Every nuance of your speech, the way you sound in terms of your loudness, in terms of your modulation, the up and down quality in your voice, how energetic you sound, the way you pronounce, all of this comes into your voice and its aspects. So let's take a look at all the different aspects of voice and what is it that we need to do for each of them. So we are going to be looking at 6 different aspects when it comes to voice, and we are starting with the first one, which is the volume. When I say volume, is how loud or how soft or silent you are in general. So there are 3 aspects of this. Generally, when I work with my clients, they end up telling me, Reshma, I'm very soft, I can't speak loudly. So this is what it is. All of us have the capability to speak as loudly as we want and as softly as we want, and also to stay silent. Now, it is important for us to have this kind of control over our voice, that we can go as loud or as soft, and that we are able to stay silent for as long as we need. Silence is also required and can create a huge impact. So being able to do all of this is important, and that is a kind of control that you want to have with your volume. The next one that we're going to look at is rate of speech. The rate of speech is essentially how fast or how slow you're speaking. So there is nothing called as the right rate of speech. It differs from person to person depending on where they're coming from and if English is the native language or not. So most of us are non-native speakers, that is, English is not actually our mother tongue or our regional language. So it is okay if our rate of speech is different from what is considered to be the norm. So what are the variations? We can either go fast, or we can either go slow, or we can learn to pause when we are speaking. Now, there is nothing to say that fast is good or slow is good. The idea is you should be able to do anything. You should be able to go fast or you should be able to go slowly depending on the situation and the people that you're talking to. In general, I would always suggest you to go slowly, because that means you are getting the words out easily. It's easy for you also to come up with what is it that you want to say, and people are also going to be able to absorb it easily as well. Let me give an example for this. Let's say you are driving and you're driving really fast. When you come to a sudden halt or you have to brake, it becomes very evident that you were going extremely fast and you stop. And it's the same thing that happens when we speak. Imagine that you're speaking extremely fast, you're just trying to get all the words out, you want to be done with it, and then suddenly you get stuck. Everyone notices there's silence, and this adds to our stress. We feel stuck, we don't know what to think, and this messes up our speech. So what you want to do is go slow, let your brain process all the thoughts, so that even if you get stuck, you can pause, give it a second, stop, think, and get back, and no one would notice a major difference because you are automatically speaking slowly and steadily. Again, based on the situation and the audience, you want to go faster or you want to go slower. You should be able to do both. Let's say you're talking to your supervisor or your boss about your project or the work that you're doing. Now he knows what you're supposed to be doing, so you can actually pick up the pace and explain things to him faster. However, let's say you are explaining something new to a person who's never heard about this before. You're going to have to slow down and you're going to have to speak like I am doing right now in this entire course. I am slowing down and I'm speaking slowly so that you're able to understand what I'm saying. For people who want to go faster, they can always increase the speed of the video, but I'm choosing to speak slowly because the concepts may be new and therefore it is best if I speak slowly. But I can also speak very fast if I want, and that is also completely great. Now, you should be able to vary your speech as in how you want. The next thing is the quality of your voice. Now, when it comes to quality of your voice, it means how do you sound? How does it feel when people listen to you? And this is based on where you're speaking from. For example, we could be speaking from our nose, which is nasal. It's got that ing tone to the entire speech. Most of us generally speak through our throat, which is where most of our voice comes from. from. But then if you speak deep from your stomach, your voice gets deeper and more easier and sounds more good to listen. People tend to believe people who have deeper voices. It automatically brings that feeling of trust and credibility. So for that, all you need to do is sit or stand straight and let the air flow easily from your lungs out of your mouth, and that ensures that you can go as deep as you want. Now, avoiding a nasal and a high pitched tone is what you want to do, but you can speak. The lower your voice goes, it is always for the better. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is modulation. What I mean by modulation is when you speak, it should be like the ECG of a live person. Like, it should go up and down, and it should not be that of a dead person, like a straight line, essentially. So when you speak, your voice should have that up and down, and this is what brings in that tone, that good modulation, and you will not sound monotonous or monotone to people. Monotonous speech is what makes us sound boring, and this is why you want to have that up and down quality. This is easier for us to do with our native language or with our regional languages, because that is how we've spoken all our life, and it is easy for us to add the kind of modulation you want, like array, yeah, like that thing comes very easily. We know how to stress and how to speak, but because English is not our first language, it's not our native language, it becomes a little bit more difficult to add modulation. So to help you with this, I have something simple. There is something called as content words and function words. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? Let's say I say a sentence, I go office. It is not grammatically correct, but when I say I go office, you are able to understand what I'm telling you. So you're able to get the meaning of the sentence. So I go office. These words are what we call as content words, words that carry the actual meaning of the sentence. The grammatically correct sentence is I am going to office. Now, all these additional words, am, to, these are functional words that are there to make my sentence grammatically correct, but they don't affect the meaning as much, right? They don't carry the meaning of the sentence with them, and that's why they are function words. So what you want to do is you want to pick up your voice for content words and you want to reduce your voice for function words. Content words are words that are names of people, verbs, actions, adjectives, the bigger words that carry all the meaning in them. Whereas function words are all the other words like your articles, your helping verbs, and prepositions, conjunctions, all the other words that are just there to make your sentence grammatically right. Numbers are considered as content words. Even answers like yes and no are also considered as content words. So you want to pick up your voice for all the content words and you want to drop for all the function words. This is something that will come with practice, and don't worry, I have a technique that's going to help you work on this as well. The next one is intonation. So what I mean by intonation is our voice either has a rising or a falling quality to it. So when we raise our voice, that is a certain kind of intonation, and when we drop our voice, that is a certain kind of intonation. Intonation will change from sentence to sentence. So for normal sentence, you end it on a falling intonation, as in I'm going to office, not I'm going to office. So you see the difference in the intonation there. So I am going to office, it ends there, and then the next sentence starts on a higher and then falls down again. If it is an imperative or a request, it will have a combination of rising and falling. So would you help me with that, please? So all the requests, the please and the thank yous, all of that will have a bit of a higher intonation. When it comes to exclamatory statements, again, it's going to have more of a rising intonation. That's amazing. So it is always going to be on the higher side. When it comes to questions, there are two types of questions: open-ended questions and close-ended questions. When your question starts with what, who, where, when, how, all of these are falling intonations, which means it is going to be what did you do, where did you go, and it falls at the end and starts high. Whereas if your questions are close-ended questions, as in they start with are, am, I, has, have, did, then it raises. Did you get married? Did you go there? Have you eaten? So it raises at the end, and that is how you use your intonation. So intonation is different ways the stress in your sentence changes depending on different sentence types. Another aspect of intonation is also the certain words that you end up stressing in your sentence. So depending on which word you stress, the meaning of the sentence can also change. For example, I did not tell you that. I did not tell you that. Both of these are different. I did not tell you that is when you're saying that I did not ever do something like that. I did not tell you that means I told you something, but it was not that what I told you. So where you stress or which word you stress also changes the meaning of the sentence. So you also want to pay attention to those kind of words. Again, don't worry. These are all things that we're going to learn how to fix. Finally, we are getting to pronunciation. Now, pronunciation is not something I'm going to say it's going to make or break, because again, we are not native speakers. So our pronunciation might be incorrect, and that is absolutely okay, unless you're working in an organization or you have people who are absolutely not able to understand you because of your accent. In that case, then you want to work on your accent to neutralize the accent. But if that is not the case, then it's okay. You might make mistakes in pronunciation, and that is completely fine. So just ensure that you don't pronounce certain words incorrectly, because when you do that, people might not understand what you say because it might change the meaning entirely. Otherwise, if it is just a few accent issues, then it is something that you can definitely skip. So there you have it. These are all the 6 different aspects of voice, and these are all the things that we are going to work on. I hope you understood these aspects. Ideally, what we want to be able to do is have control over our voice, over our volume, over the way we speak, the rate of speech, our quality of the voice, ensure that our voice does not sound monotonous, the right kind of intonation, and correctly pronounced words. Now, for pronunciation, I have a tip for you. When you open your mouth and enunciate, you open your mouth wide and you speak the words out, half your pronunciation issues are going to go out the window. Trust me on this. So, this is something I keep telling all my clients for years and years. I've been training people, and this is what I keep saying. When you speak, this is what you need to do: speak loudly, speak slowly, speak clearly, open your mouth and speak, and automatically, if you do all these 3, you're going to sound confident. So you're going to speak confidently as well: loudly, slowly, clearly, and confidently. Tell that to yourself 10, 15 times so that it gets into your head. The idea is you want to be loud, you want to be slow, and you want to be clear, and that will make a huge difference to the way you sound when you speak. So we are going to learn how can we make our voice sound amazing and impactful. Now, you might be surprised that it is as simple as reading aloud, but hear me out for a bit. You might be thinking, oh my god, it's been years since I read aloud something, and trust me, this is the case with most of my clients. But there is a reason why we are picking this particular activity. Generally, when we speak, we are also thinking. So let's say I ask you to work on your voice while you're speaking something. It becomes very difficult because you are thinking about what you need to say, and it then becomes extremely challenging to vary our voice, do modulation, do intonation, reduce the rate of speech, go slow, go fast, pause. All of this becomes extremely tedious to do, and you will not be able to make even a little bit progress in how you sound. And that is why we choose reading. What happens when you're reading is it eliminates the need for thinking about what to say, because the content is already in front of you. And if you have chosen some good reading material, then automatically everything is written well for you. The punctuations are there, the spellings are correct, and it's going to help you in so many different ways. So with the text in front of us, we can do a lot of experimentation with our voice, and this is how you will make a huge difference. Over the years, I've worked with so many different clients. I worked with people who are just newly in the organization, students or freelancers or coaches, managers, senior executives, and if at all they had a challenge with the way they sound, as in they have fillers, they get stuck, they are not pausing enough, they sound boring, or whatever may be, I have always put them through this activity, and this has made a massive difference to the way they sound. Now, I hope that you are also ready to give this a try. When I say read aloud, I don't mean just reading aloud in whatever way you think you should be reading, but you want to look at it differently and you want to read correctly. I am going to explain the nuances of reading aloud using some text as a sample, and I would love for you to try it along with me. You can pause it and you can read it along with me, and you will know what is the right way to read as well. So let's give this a go. So I have a passage for you here, and we are going to go through this, and I'm also going to explain how do you apply different aspects of voice to this. Now, if you notice, there are are punctuations, as in you find a comma and you find full stop and maybe other punctuations. So punctuations exist for a reason. It means that you need to take a short pause when you come across a punctuation. A comma would be a short pause, a period or a full stop would be a slightly longer pause, and if there is a paragraph break, then it means a slightly longer pause. Pausing is important because this is what is going to help people absorb the information that you're sharing with them. And if you're reading continuously without taking a break, two things will happen. One, the person who's listening is going to switch off because they are not able to follow your train of thought. The second thing is, because you're reading constantly, you go out of breath, and at one point you're end up going to stop and you're going to have breathing issue. You do not want to do that. The next thing is, even if there are no punctuations, you still need to pause after every couple of words, like as and when a phrase is getting over, because if you keep waiting for a punctuation to pause, then that also causes breathing issues, and it's the same problem. The sentence might be so long that people are not able to gather what is it that you're saying. So let's try it a little bit. Pixar films take years to make, and the finished version you see in the theater may be very different from the way it was originally envisioned. Now, as you can see here, I am pausing every couple of words and taking slightly longer pauses when there are punctuations. So this is what you want to do. The next thing is, if you have a tendency to speak fast, then you want to go slow. You want to make yourself read at a slower pace. It will be difficult. It does not mean it is impossible. Trust me, I have worked with people who have extremely high rate of speech, and we've ensured that we bring it down. Now, going slow does not mean lowering your volume as well. You still want to read loudly. Only when you read loudly, your modulation will also sound good. So words like Pixar film, years, make, finished version, theater, very different, originally envisioned. Now, these are the words that are the important content words in the sentence. So you want to raise your voice a little for those words. I'm going to read this again so that you understand. Pixar films take years to make, and the finished version you see in the theater may be very different from the way it was originally envisioned. The filmmaking team refines the films through the parts of the process called pitching and feedback. Now, as you notice, the modulation makes a huge difference in how people are going to be able to take the information. Let's try another paragraph. Pitching is the process of telling your story in very rough form using storyboards or other rough imagery. After you pitch, you get feedback, which is basically hearing from the people you're pitching to what they like and what they didn't like. This helps the storyteller assess what is working about their story and what is not. Pixar goes through this over and over: storyboarding, pitching, getting feedback, reboarding, and repitching to hone in on the story they really want to tell. Now, you want to work on your rate of speech and you want to work on your pausing. And once you get this in good control, then you want to try modulation by increasing your voice, increasing the energy in your voice, and all of this will make a lot of difference. We have a few more passages for you to try in the workbook, so go ahead and give reading aloud a try. This will definitely make a difference, and if at all your voice is not very strong, you have a very shaky voice, it will bring the strength back to your voice. It is like training a muscle, the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. So right now you might sound shaky, you might keep getting stuck, or you might not sound great, but if you keep practicing, if you keep reading aloud even 2 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, it will make a huge difference. So let's do a quick recap. You want to go loudly, you also want to try going soft, and you want to be silent when you pause or stop. You want to try going fast, and you should be able to go slow as well, and you should be able to take enough pauses while you speak. Being able to pause, being able to stay silent is what is going to help with your fillers. Now, what happens is, people who have a tendency to speak a lot continuously without pausing, while they are thinking, they feel they should not pause, and they try to fill that little bit of gap with and I mean, like while they are thinking, they are trying to fill in that gap with sounds or words. The sounds are called as fog foghorns, and the words are called as fillers. So if you have a lot of fillers, they can be majorly removed if you learn to pause and stay silent when you need to think. Reading aloud will help you with this. The next thing you want to try is going as deep as you can, sitting straight and speaking from your stomach as much as you can, and this will help make your voice deeper instead of very high pitched. Once you've mastered these, you can then move on to improving your modulation, which is easy if you're being loud and you're picking up your voice for all the important words. Stress and sentence types will automatically come in easy. The only thing you want to take care of here is how are you ending the sentence or the question, and as long as that is taken care of, it is enough. And finally, if you notice that you have pronunciation issues, again, depending on the kind of work that you do and depending on how important it is, if you want to work on your accent, if you want to neutralize your accent, you can definitely go for it. Even with my clients whom I work on exclusively and create their customized plans, we always discuss how important is it for us to work on our accent, because as I said, if you open your mouth, enunciate and actually speak, it reduces a lot of pronunciation issues. But if you still would like, do get help on this. Now that you know how to make your voice sound amazing and impactful, let's look at what our friends are going to do. What challenges do they have and how are they going to start working on this? If you remember Sarah, Sarah is generally very afraid to speak up in front of her clients. She's not very sure of herself, and that also shows up in her voice where she speaks very softly, very slowly. She doesn't finish her sentences. She sounds very choppy. Her sentences are incomplete, very broken, very disjointed, and in general, she does not project confidence in her voice at all. So what Sarah is going to do when she practices her reading is she will focus on making her voice louder and stronger. And that is the first thing that she will do. She will learn to pause and she will learn to stop her sentences correctly, and at the same time ensure that her energy and her volume is high. If she does this for enough time, her voice is going to sound much stronger and not soft and shaky anymore. And after that, she can see what else she wants to work on her voice and make those changes accordingly. Raj, on the other hand, has a tendency to speak very fast and has a lot of fillers. It feels like every 2-3 words there is one filler or the other. He never is able to get an entire sentence out. And because he speaks continuously and a lot, he gets stuck. And when he gets stuck, that immediately impacts his confidence. He thinks about what should he say, he gets stuck, and he feels that everything is gone and he doesn't speak anymore. So he sounds boring, he sounds monotonous, and he sounds scared because he's rushing to just get his words all out. Now, this is not at all effective. So how Raj is going to use reading is he's going to ensure that he's going to reduce his rate of speech. He's going to read slowly and he's going to ensure that he is pausing correctly when he is reading. This is the first thing that he will work on. Once he's achieved this, he will then go on to go and read with modulation. He will focus on bringing in that quality, that modulation in his voice, which will ultimately help him. Ensuring that he's speaking slowly and ensuring that he's pausing enough will slowly also help him speak slowly and pause when he needs to speak, thereby eliminating his fillers. Ria has a challenge that she doesn't pause at all. She speaks continuously and is definitely monotonous because of this. She sounds very droning, very dull, and there is absolutely no energy in her voice, which means that her clients or her students don't sound very interactive, they are not engaged, and they're just not enjoying her content. In a way, she might be putting people to sleep. So what Ria is going to do is she's going to ensure that she focuses on being loud and first focus on modulation and bringing back energy into her voice. The minute she does that and works on pausing, finishing her sentences before she speaks the next sentence, this will make a major difference. And she can do that easily by reading aloud, ensuring that she is pausing enough and adding more energy and modulation to her voice when she reads. Now, you might be thinking, is it possible to read in a certain way and that would affect the way we speak as well? Yes. So here's the thing. When you are training your voice, it's like I said, it is like training a muscle. It becomes your go-to method of doing things. Speaking slowly becomes your go-to method. Pausing becomes easier. It becomes more comfortable. You get more comfortable with silence. And as you keep doing more and more of this, you will notice this change. You can consciously start making this change even when you speak. And then it gets easier. And that is what you need to do. You want to start with reading, and then slowly, when you're speaking, you want to do the same things. You want to speak a little slowly. You want to finish your sentences. You want to pause and instead not fill it with your fillers or foghorns. And this will definitely change the way you speak. So, all you need to do is speak loudly, slowly, clearly, and confidently. And that is what I'm going to leave you with. This is a technique that definitely works with enough practice. So I would highly suggest that you give it a try. In the workbook, there are a lot of passages for you to try, or you can choose your favorite book and read from there as well. All the best with sounding impactful. In the next module, we are going to discuss about how can you speak impactfully and ensure that your words are also amazing. And I will see you in the next module.